Okay, we are pleased to be joined now by Ellie Mitchell and Grace Stone of Princeton. And reminder to please turn off all cell phones and no flash photography is permitted. And we will start with questions for the student athletes. We have 15 minutes allotted with questions from our in-person reporters and over Zoom. So we'll go ahead and take questions. Please state your name and media outlet. We'll bring a microphone over to you to ask your question. We'll start in the front row here.
Hey guys, Matt Cohen, Indy Star. I guess for both of you, so we can get a chance to talk to you guys yesterday. I guess at the end of the game yesterday, after after not having a season last year, just kind of what were the emotions, and maybe now that it's been gotten a chance to sleep on it, wake up today, kind of what is the emotions of having all that time to prepare and finally get to the NCAA tournament and get an upset like that?
Yeah, I think that it's absolutely incredible. It wasn't an easy year off. We were all apart. We had to connect with each other through Zoom. We had to, figure out ways to get better on the off season on our own. And we had a lot to work through this whole year, a lot of adversity that we faced. And, I think that, winning this game was a testament to who we are as people and how much we love each other and how much we love the game and how much we were willing to, fight for this opportunity to be here. So very exciting.
Yeah, it was a great opportunity. Obviously, like Grace said, it was a tough year off. We've been waiting for this moment, and so we're just trying to take it game by game, and we're ready for whatever comes our way.
Go front row, Seth.
Was it Seth Tao with the Bloomington Herald Times? When you weren't able to play last year, was it tough to, how tough was it to watch the tournament last year and know that, you couldn't be there, you didn't have a chance to play, and does that kind of make you appreciate these moments even more?
Absolutely. Obviously, we all wanted to be out on that court. A bunch of us decided to take a gap year because we didn't want to sacrifice a year playing. So it definitely hurt a little bit having to be on the sidelines, just watching everyone else play, but it just made us more excited to be back here this year, and we're ready for everything.
Yeah, it was tough. I was watching from my living room, and it didn't feel real almost watching all these teams play. But I think that, again, like Ellie said, like it just made us so much hungrier to be here and grateful, that we have the opportunity to do this and do it together.
I guess at what point did you guys kind of start to feel or know that you were going to win that game yesterday, if there was a specific moment?
I don't know if I, ever felt like there really was one. I think that there was a moment where the Kentucky coach said, "Don't foul," and we just kind of like dribbled the ball out. That was really the only time that I felt like the game was actually over at that point. But it was, Kentucky has the ability to be in every game until the last whistle. So, I never felt like our work was done until time ran out.
Yeah, after the first couple minutes, though, I think we all definitely kind of realized, like, okay, we're in this game, like, we're ready for this, we can handle this. Like, Kentucky's a great program, but so are we, and this is gonna be a good day.
We will go back to the front row.
I guess then, so playing the second game, I know Indiana got to sit and watch the second game a bit, and obviously you guys don't really get that opportunity in the second game. So how quickly are you able to turn the page from such an emotional high win like that to then prepping for another game within 48 hours?
Yeah, I mean, it's going to be a challenge. Coach said in her interview yesterday, we're going to celebrate for like 10 seconds, and then it's back to business. So we just got to be really focused and just make the most of the time that we do have.
I think that it's interesting because I came in as a freshman, and in the Ivy League we were still playing back-to-back. So I think I'm actually kind of used to like a quick turnaround and, having to prepare for another team really quickly. So I think that, we're really engaged, really focused, really dialed in, and we're just trying to learn as much as we can about them.
We'll go front row. Seth?
So in the short time that you have, I guess, what have you learned about Indiana? What are some of the challenges you're going to face against them? And I guess, what's the difference? How tough is it going to be playing more of a road game tomorrow compared to a neutral floor yesterday?
I think that they're actually pretty similar to us in the sense that, they're very disciplined and they play very well together. I think they're very aggressive defensively and they're able to speed teams up and get them out of their rhythm. They obviously have really dominant post play, but all 5 of their starters are contributors. So I think that, for us, it really has to be a team effort. Everyone has to be locked in on what their assignment is. And then just offensively, we just really have to execute and take really good shots. And again, not let them speed us up.
Yesterday was packed. It was a really fun atmosphere to play in. I'm sure tomorrow there'll be even more people there. I think yesterday was a good first stepping stone in getting us ready for tomorrow. So we'll see.
We'll take a question from Zoom now, Jen Hatfield.
Hey, Ellie. Hey, Grace. Congrats on the win. I've talked with you both about your team's defense, kind of at length, and you guys as individual defenders. And I just wanted to ask you about Julia Cunningham and, obviously yesterday, the job that she did on Ryan Howard, but also, over the whole season, what you've seen her do defensively and how important that's been.
Yeah, we call her our guard defensive stopper. She has to guard normally the best player for the other team. And, she's grown so much as a defender since we both came in together our freshman year. And, she's so long and she's worked so hard on her lateral quickness and she just plays really hard. And so, she's just so fun to play defense with because she's so intent on getting stops. So, she's incredible.
Any other questions for student athletes? Back to the front row. Matt.
I guess I wanted to ask about Abby Myers, and I guess you guys get to see her every day far more than everyone else does. And I guess what makes her this such a special player that she's kind of developed into over these 3-4 years now?
Mm-hmm. Abby, like you said, she's an incredible player. She works so hard every day in practice, pushing us all to be better. I think one of the most noteworthy things is her confidence. She wants to make those big plays for us, and we trust her. And at the same time, she's rooting us on, encouraging us, and she's just a great team leader.
Follow up on that, I guess, Ellie, did you know Abby in high school at all? I know just being in the same area.
Yeah, we actually used to play against each other in high school. It was non-conference, but I've grown up kind of playing around Abby a little bit.
Did she kind of just talk to you at all about Princeton kind of before you came, or was that any at all a factor in you going to to play at Princeton?
Yeah, definitely. I followed Princeton basketball obviously throughout my recruiting process. It was great to see another DMV player as well as Bella Allery. And I think for me it was just kind of a confidence boost seeing wow, these girls I used to play with, they're having a lot of success. Seems like a great place to be, great people. So I'd love to follow in her shoes.
We'll go back to Zoom and Jen again.
Just curious, for either or both of you, how many text messages did you get after the game yesterday? What is the status of your phone? And who was the coolest person that reached out to you?
I got a lot of texts. A lot of stuff happening on Twitter, a lot of stuff happening on Instagram. But I mean, I feel like cool people don't really have my number, so it was the people adjacent to me that cool stuff happened to, which I will count as happening to me.
Yeah, same with me. Just a lot of friends and family, even people I hadn't heard from in a while, third grade teacher texting me, or my mom. Sue Bird though did text coach, said congrats on the win, rooting for you guys. So
that was sick.
That was cool. Yeah, by association.
Anybody want to follow that question? Okay, see no more questions. Thank you, ladies.
Thank you.
Thank you.
We are back now with Princeton head coach Carla Berube, leading up to the second round game, Indiana and Princeton, tomorrow at 8 p.m. We'll take questions both in the room and on Zoom. If you're joining us on Zoom, please use the raise hand feature on Zoom to indicate you have a question, and we will get to you. We'll start with an opening statement by Coach, and then take questions.
It's great to be here, entering the second round tomorrow. It's going to be a great challenge taking on Indiana in this great facility of theirs with, I'm sure, many fans, but it's going to be I'm sure, a really great environment. We're looking forward to this challenge. We've turned the page from last night. Really excited for that win last night, but we're not satisfied. We're ready to take on Indiana tomorrow.
Just take your
On this one.
questions for Coach. Yep, go ahead.
So we heard you got a text from Sue Bird after the win yesterday.
Who? Just kidding. No.
So, one, what was that like? And two, did anyone else reach out at all beyond one of the greatest players of all time?
Yeah, I mean, she's, part of the UConn family, so we're all pretty tight. Great ambassador for women's basketball, and yeah, she saw the game and was really impressed, and let me know and said good luck, on Monday, and heard from a lot of people. It was on the Total Sports Network, so I think a lot of people were tuned in, and it was exciting to hear from a lot of people.
Questions?
So as you've dove into the Indiana matchup over the last day, I guess, how do you feel like your team stacks up, and what are some of the keys to that matchup going to be?
Yeah, they're great. They're a very well-balanced team. They've got great inside play, coupled with some really great perimeter scorers. It's a really balanced attack. They're tough, they're aggressive, they're strong. They play very tough defense, and they're very disciplined on the offensive end as well. I think they run their offense very well. I think they're very well coached. They can put up a lot of points, but they also can, I've seen them shut some teams down too with their aggressive defense. So, it's going to be a great challenge. I think we're like a little bit different, because we don't have the size inside like they do. So we're going to have to, work with what we have, and it's been fun watching them play. It was a late night last night, getting ready for practice today. But our staff, get our players ready.
We'll go back to the front row, Matt.
Just speaking of the Indiana film, so Nicole Cardenio-Hillary is often regarded as one of the more peskier defensive guards on Indiana. Probably, I would assume, be matched up on Abby a little bit, or probably a lot tomorrow. I guess, how do you kind of prepare Abby for a matchup like that, do you think she's faced anyone that's quite as pesky as that in the Ivy League?
Yeah, I think there's some pesky defenders. I think we've seen some really great defenses along the road. I don't think anything really phases Abby Myers. So, she's going to have to be really strong with the basketball. Whoever is guarding her, as our whole team does. I said this last night. I thought we had too many turnovers. I think Kentucky really, took it to us, on their defensive end, and we need to be a bit stronger with the basketball and make some better decisions. And I'm sure Indiana will pressure us, because that's what they do. And we've got to be disciplined and smart and strong, and limit the turnovers. And the live ball turnovers are tough. That's how Kentucky got a lot of points off of our turnovers. So if we can limit those and get good offensive possessions, each and every offensive possession, we'll be better off.
We'll go to Zoom now, and Jen.
Hey, Coach, congrats again on the win. I just wanted to ask you, I know that it was a team effort defensively yesterday on Ryan Howard having such a tough afternoon, but I also know that Julia Cunningham was a huge part of that, as she's been all year. So just wanted to ask you, about Julia's defense, what makes her stand out on that end, and how have you seen her grow over the years there?
Yeah, she did a great job with Howard. We were switching a lot too, so Howard saw some different matchups. But for the most part, that was Julia's matchup. She's got great length. She's got good lateral quickness, a very high basketball IQ. So she reads the player that she's guarding well. She studies up, watches tendencies, and I think it's always a team effort, right? When you're seeing what's happening on the floor, our defense is sort of built on communication. So she's listening to what her teammates are telling her, and she's communicating well when she needs help or needs to switch. Or I think it just took Julie a little bit of time from our first year together that the commitment to the defensive end, and I think the commitment during the 2 years off. She's grown so much as a defender. She's gotten quicker. She's worked on that lateral speed, and she just puts in the work. And it's definitely, we've seen it this year, and really, really proud of her.
We'll go to Steve on Zoom next. Steve, go ahead.
Sorry about that. Carla, thanks for your time. Looking at Indiana, one of their top players is Grace Berger. Can you talk a little bit about her and what you will try to do to kind of take her out of the game, if anything?
I think with these great scorers, you have to try to limit their touches and limit their opportunities that where they score the ball well. I mean, she is a tremendous mid-range shooter off the dribble, off the catch. She's got great handles. She's able to, just create shots for herself, but also creating shots for others. I mean, she has a ton of assists on the year. She's incredibly strong. You can see how fit she is, that she's able to absorb contact well. She gets to the rim really well, great body control. She's a tough matchup, and I think she's also very, just level-headed too. It looks like nothing really phases her. Just a great all-around player, great rebounder, and like I said, just a really great playmaker. So it's a tough matchup.
Any other questions for Coach? Yep, we'll go back here.
You talked about kind of how quickly you had to start turning around and preparing, to play Indiana. But I guess has now that you've slept on it, woken up today, has that upset kind of set in at all, and all the texts and all the messages that have come through? I guess now being almost 24 hours after the fact, just kind of, what is the feeling of getting such a monumental win like that?
Yeah, I think it's great for the university. It's great for the Ivy League. Really happy for my players and really proud of them. And of course, our alumni, they're so stoked about that win. And we play for them and what they built. But like I said, we really have had to turn the page pretty quickly here. I tried to get back to my text messages early this morning, got that done. Loved hearing from everybody, but it was really important for us to, just turn the page to Indiana. One of my assistants she's been working on Indiana all week, so she knows them really well. And I was able to sit in on the UNC Charlotte game yesterday, so I got to watch them live, which I think helps you get to know a team. So we'll be ready. We'll know them, and then we'll just have to execute the game plan. And clearly, at this time of the year, it's just about making plays. You can say we're doing X, Y, and Z, but once you're out there, clearly some of last night did not go like according to plan, but we made more plays than I think than Kentucky did, and so that's how you win the game.
Anything else? Reminder that video of the press conference and transcripts are available on the NCAA Digital Hub. And thank you for your time, Coach.
Okay.
Okay, we are now pleased to be joined by Indiana student athletes Allie Patberg and Chloe Moore McNeil. If you're joining us on Zoom and have a question, please use the raise hand feature and we'll get to you. We'll also take questions in the room. So we'll start there. We'll bring the microphones around in the front row.
I guess so. You guys got to sit and watch a bit of the Princeton Kentucky game yesterday. I guess what did you kind of immediately take away from watching that game and kind of just in the immediate moments walking away from seeing Princeton win and kind of facing them tomorrow?
Yeah, they're a really good team. Offensively, they execute really, really well. I think at each position they're really skilled. They know their strengths, and they execute. Defensively, they play really hard. They switch ball screens, they switch screens, and so and they came ready to play. They were prepared and they were ready to win, and so they're a great team.
When you see a player like Abby Myers over there, I guess what challenges does she present, and what's it going to take to, I guess, contain her defensively?
Yeah, she's a great player. It's going to take not just one person guarding her, but just all five of us, knowing where to be in positions, gaps. But she can score at all three levels, and so we're just going to have to make it tough on her. And again, like I said, it's going to take our whole team to slow her down.
Just for Chloe first, and then also Allie as well. Is Chloe kind of coming off the bench? You've played a lot more minutes recently, seen a much larger role as the season gone on. I think early in the year, Terry Moran talked a lot about kind of developing the bench, developing kind of more depth there, and that's really been you in large part this season. I guess how have you kind of, especially in the postseason, felt yourself kind of coming on more? Have you felt more confident? And I guess Allie, how have you kind of seen her develop as the season's gone on?
Yeah, so I think my confidence has grown over the season, and that's simply because of my coaches and my teammates believing in me. You know, after Matt got hurt, you know, Coach Moran came to all of us and just said, we just need everybody to do a little bit more, just produce a little bit more, go just harder, just a little bit more. So I think that has really motivated me, and my teammates have motivated me as well.
Yeah, Chloe, you know, she's a great player on both ends, and we've seen that since she came here as a freshman. But I think her confidence has gone way up just because, like she mentioned, Matt being out for a while, Chloe stepped up and she was in big moments, and so she's able to have confidence because she's been out there, she's had experience, and she's handled it great. And I'm really excited for Chloe here at IU. She's gonna have a lot of good years here, great years.
Chloe, was there any specific point where you could kind of sense, like, oh, my confidence, like I'm feeling a little more confident, I feel like I've improved, but was there kind of a turning point for you?
I would say the turning point was, you know, when COVID kind of hit us for a long stretch, and I had started for the Purdue game. That's when I was like, okay, I need to step up and produce, you know, a lot more than I usually have, because I know my team needs me, so I need to be there for them.
We'll go to second row.
Hey guys, Addie Miners with WLKY. Back to kind of like the matchup against Princeton tomorrow. I feel like you guys are pretty, you know, evenly matched as guards and how they play with their posts. You guys are the same. What's it going to take for you guys to overcome them, I guess, matchup wise?
Yeah, I mean, like I mentioned, they're a great team, but I think we're going to have to defend for the whole shot clock. Like I said, they execute really well, and they hit all their options in their offense. And I think for us, just taking smart shots, but knowing where I think we have advantages, yeah, on the offensive end. So just, again, we always come into every game prepared. Our coaches always have a great game plan, and we just need to go out and execute it.
Yeah, I'd have to agree with Allie on that. Just, I think the key is, since they are a very fundamentally sound team, is just to be disciplined on defense.
Just Allie, you've been here for such a long time now, and hosting's been a long time goal of this program. And to now sit here after hosting a game and finally getting that opportunity, what was that like? And I guess how excited are you for another opportunity to play an NCAA tournament game here?
Yeah, it's been a goal of ours since we got here, and to have the opportunity just to play in the NCAA tournament alone is a blessing, and we never take that for granted. But to do it at home and just to see everyone come out and support us means a lot. Means a lot to our team, and we're excited for another game tomorrow.
Did it, aside from playing on the home court in general, I guess, is it striking, I guess, after playing in the tournament last year in the bubble, just playing in a more normal environment now?
Yeah, I mean, last year was different, obviously, and to have fans. I mean, it's hard because we've had fans all year, so we've kind of gotten used to it. But well, we wouldn't have had a normal NCAA tournament since my first year here. So, and I remember how it was at Oregon with their fans and how much of an advantage it was. And so again, I'm so thankful that we took care of our business during the season so we could host and have that advantage, honestly.
We'll take a few on Zoom. We'll start with Skip. Skip, go ahead.
Hey, Skip Daly here with the South Central Indiana News Network. Allie, you grew up in Indiana. Obviously, Assembly Hall is a big deal. Last year, you were afforded an extra season, and now this year, you have an additional opportunity. Tomorrow night will, however, be your final game at Assembly Hall. What are I know you're emotional with this, but talk about how Assembly Hall has helped shape you as a person.
Yeah, I love Assembly Hall. I grew up coming to games, dreamed about playing here, and I'm just thankful that I had 2 more games than I normally would have, and senior night wasn't my last game. But honestly, I'm just trying to stay in the moment. I'm trying to be prepared mentally for our game because I want to win. I want to win bad, and so I'm trying not to really think about it, honestly. But again, like I said, I'm just thankful that I get another game in Assembly Hall, and I'm going to make the most of it. We're going to make the most of it.
We'll go to Steve on Zoom next. Steve, go ahead. Now go ahead.
Can you hear me?
Yep, we got you now.
Okay, thanks. Allie and Chloe, can you talk a little about the contributions that Grace makes, not just on the court, but off the court as well, and how she helps the team get to this spot and potentially to Sweet 16 next week?
Grace is a leader for our team. She may not be the loudest person on the floor or off the floor, but she leads by example every single day with her work ethic, with the way she approaches, every drill, every rep. So she's a leader for our team, and she's a competitor. She brings it out in everybody, and she's obviously super talented, super skilled, but a lot of people don't know how hard she's worked to become that, and we do. We see it every day, and I'm just thankful that she's been my teammate, and she's pushed me to be a better person and better player.
Yeah, I definitely agree with Allie. She might not say much, but I feel like her work says a lot. Even last year being a freshman, I just let her teach me and, watch her, and she really sets a great example for me.
We'll go to Haley on the Zoom next.
Yes, I apologize if this question was already asked. I had to come in a little bit late, but I wanted to talk to both of you, Chloe and Allie, about your feelings on having a late game tomorrow, 8 p.m. So I was wondering what the team does all day, kind of just waiting around to compete.
Yeah, obviously we know it's a late game. For me, I try to go to bed at an early time every night, so I'm on a pretty, honestly, strict sleeping schedule because I need all the advantages I can get, and sleep is one of them. But so tonight I'm going to try to stay up later so that I sleep in a little later, so my day starts a little later. So I'm not just waiting all day. But we'll have a shoot around at 2, I think. We watch film. I'll shoot free throws. And so we stay busy with what we do and how we're preparing. And, yeah, like I said, I'm going to stay up a little later so I can sleep in.
Yeah, I think really the most important and biggest thing for us is just staying off our feet, no matter what, just getting rest, just staying focused so we can be locked in tomorrow.
We got time for a couple more.
I guess just following up on that, if you have any, what classes do you guys have on Mondays?
I have a structural kinesiology lab from 4:15 to 6:10, but don't think I'll make it. So
I guess that seems like a valid reason to probably skip class tomorrow.
Yeah.
Well, it's hard to follow that. But obviously, Mackenzie's injury was kind of a big storyline throughout the season, and just she played really well yesterday, especially in the second half. How have you seen her benefit from, I guess, the 2 weeks you had in between the Big Ten tournament and the start of the NCAA tournament, and how hard has she worked in her rehab to get to this, to get back to where she's at now?
Yeah, I actually had a conversation with Mac after the Big Ten tournament, and I just thanked her for doing what she's done, to have surgery in the middle of the season and to come back. A lot of people wouldn't do that, but that just shows how much she is selfless in trying to do whatever it takes for our team to win, because she knows we need her out there. And so I thanked her for that. And we knew the 2 weeks that we had before the NCAA tournament, we were all going to benefit from it, but especially Mac. She got a lot of good reps, game-like reps. But I think it also helped us getting back to playing with her, getting accommodated with her, playing off of her. And so I think, the game last night was, the work of the past 2 weeks and her playing well and us being able to be in sync with her as well. So I think it was great.
Any other questions for the student athletes? Reminder, recording and transcripts are available on the NCAA Digital Hub. And thank you for your time, ladies.
Thank you.
thank you.
We're now joined by Indiana head coach Terry Morin, leading up to the second round matchup, Indiana versus Princeton, tomorrow night at 8 p.m. on ESPNU. We'll start with an opening statement and then take questions from the media. Coach, if you want to go ahead with an opening statement.
Sure. Well, we know that we're going to have our hands full tomorrow night, come 8 o'clock, with Princeton. Well coached, great discipline, play hard, and so we're going to have to do a lot of really, really good things, I think, in order to get the result that we want. Just in watching them yesterday, with their movement, just how disciplined they are. If they don't get the first option off a lot of their stuff, they're willing to be patient enough to maybe get the second or the third or the fourth. So they're going to really test us defensively. We're going to have to really be solid in our guarding tomorrow night. And we're going to have to do a great job on Myers. I thought she was terrific yesterday. Watching her against Kentucky, she can score in a lot of different ways. This is a team that forces 19 turnovers. They get 10-plus steals a game. So ball security, us taking care of the ball and getting good shots will be as important.
We'll open it up to questions in the room and on Zoom. Please state your name and media outlet, and we'll bring the microphones around in the room. And we'll start down here in the front row.
I guess I'll start with, Abby Myers on Princeton is, going to be, you've faced plenty of tough players this season, throughout Big Ten play. I guess what do you see in her specifically, and how do you plan to approach that matchup?
Well, you're right. I mean, we've our league is full of great guards, and so one, that's the good thing, and we've had to guard a lot of those, but she can score at all three levels. She's probably a better athlete than she looks like, but to say that she is on 10 all the time would be an understatement as far as her activity, being able to step out. She has a quick trigger, but she's also has a little spin, floater game, up and under game. Like I said, she can score in a lot of different ways. She has a lot of, as I say, bags in her, or tricks in her bag. So Allie Patberg is going to have the nod at guarding her, and what we've seen with Allie is, anytime Allie has a challenge, she's been pretty good in those scenarios. I think other kids like Chloe Moore McNeil will also have to help, and maybe you'll see Grace and Nikki as well. But she's terrific. She was terrific yesterday against Kentucky.
Just following up on Allie Papper, I guess tomorrow is her final game in Assembly Hall, and as to you after all these years, what has she kind of meant to you and the program as she has her last home game tomorrow?
Well, I think she's meant everything. I think a couple years, well, I don't know how long ago. Now I can't even remember when she joined us. I feel like it's been so long ago. But, the plan was when Tyra Buss graduated that we needed a guard that was going to come in with experience, that was going to be able to sort of just take over where Tyra left off. And Allie Patberg was that kid for us. And so I think set aside what she is as a player, I think she's probably meant more, as a teammate to those guys in the locker room. She's mature. I've said it over and over. She pours into them. She has a relationship with every single one of them. Sure, it's easy to have one with a group, a team, but it's more difficult to have one with every individual in that locker room. That takes effort, it takes time, and Allie has always been willing to do that with whatever group we've brought in here to Indiana. She's been integral in our recruiting a lot of these guys, and and so she's meant, so much to helping us build this thing the right way. And, I think that she will be remembered as, one of the, best players here in school history. And a lot of it, like I said, is because of the player she is, but for me, it's going to be more about the kid she was.
We'll take a few questions now on Zoom. Steve, go ahead.
Yeah, Terry, I know you said yesterday after the game that you consider Grace to be a pro. How much did it surprise you that she said she's going to come back next year? And is there anything that you feel like she may need to work on in that 5th year to, solidify her spot in the WNBA or other pro leagues?
I laugh. I know you're not here, but I kind of laugh because Grace is such a funny kid. And I don't know that anybody would be surprised. Grace and I never even had a conversation about her returning. Basically, she told our director of basketball ops that she was not going to be a part of the senior video. And so Liz reached out to her and she said, well, does that mean you're planning on coming back? And she said, oh, yeah, that's what that means. I'm planning on coming back. And Liz went on with a conversation of, does Coach know you're coming back? And Liz is like, well, no, I haven't really talked to her, but I feel like she might think I'm coming back. And Liz is like, well, I'm in her office. And then Grace responds with, okay, well, then you can tell her. So that's Grace Berger in terms of how she shared the news with me that she was going to return, and to say that I was, my staff, we were elated. We were hopeful, keeping our fingers crossed, that we were going to have the opportunity to coach her another year. We were obviously excited and ecstatic. What Grace, and Grace would tell you this, I think one of the things that she's continued to work on is her outside, her three, becoming more consistent with that. No kid gets more reps up outside of practice than Grace Berger does, with her three ball. And so I think that's where she has to find her consistency, because we know that she can score at the other two levels, but to be a pro and have a long career as a pro, you got to be able to do all three. And so if there's one area that I think Grace has continued to try to improve on, is knocking down the long ball.
We'll go to Haley next on Zoom.
I have a little bit of a follow-up on Grace. Allie and Chloe said she's more of a silent leader and leads by example. So I wanted to ask you, Coach, how she's a different leader than Allie Papberg. Allie's a little more vocal and Grace leads more by example.
That's true. But I do think as Grace has been in our program, she's found her voice. And I think one of the ways that Grace does lead, and Allie's an emotional leader. You watch Allie out there, she plays with a lot of emotion. To get Grace to respond or have any emotion sometimes is a hard thing. But I do think this. I think Grace has grown in her leadership. She just does it in a different way. She does communicate at a high level inside of practice with her teammates. And she does challenge them. Grace is not that Allie's not a competitor, but Grace is a different kind of competitor in terms of what she expects from herself and what she expects from the people around her. And so, I think she challenges her teammates in a really good way. And I think there's a balance there with being able to do those things, being able to be supportive, but also try to get the best out of her team and her teammates. And so, that's again, two different kinds of leadership, but, both really important, for our team.
Skip on Zoom. Skip, go ahead.
Good afternoon, Coach. It's Skip Daly here with the South Central Indiana News Network. You mentioned turnovers earlier. I remember back in November, you played that game in the Bahamas against Miami. I want to say around 25 turnovers. Yesterday's game, I think that the Bucs score read 6. Talk about the season progressing and how important it has been to hold on to the ball, and what your lessons have been to the team in order to have that sharp turnaround.
Well, I think that might have been very out of character. Bahamas was a long time ago. So, for us, I do think that we've taken better care of the ball as, inside of Big Ten play. We feel like we have 3 point guards on the floor at all time, Grace, Allie, and Nikki. Before Nikki arrived, Allie Patberg was our point guard, and certainly you've seen the ball in Grace Berger's hands enough to know that she can do the job as well. And so I think it's something we emphasize every day, Skip, with the importance. We want to be under 11. That's our game goal each night. And I was obviously happy with not only our low turnovers but our assists yesterday. But I think it's just something that we emphasize. But we also really feel like we have 3 really great point guards out on the floor. The one thing that we want to give our kids is the freedom to play fast and chase space. And, sometimes they can get a little bit overzealous, but I think at the end of the day, they all know that ball security is important for our basketball team.
We'll go to Jen on Zoom next. Jen, go ahead.
Hi, Coach. Jen Hatfield with the Next. Just curious, as you prepare for Princeton on what's kind of a short turnaround, what's the hardest thing about them to prepare for? And is there a team that you've played this season that you think is relatively similar to what Princeton does?
I don't know that I can compare them to any team off the top of my head. I think what makes them so great is their discipline offensively. They do run a lot of stuff, but yet they don't run a lot of stuff. But the stuff that they run, there's like a first option. And if they don't get the first option, there's a second, there's a third, there's a fourth, there's a fifth. And they're patient enough to wait to see, where the advantage is going to be. Just, where there's going to be a breakdown defensively. And that's how they take advantage of you. I mean, this is a team, and again, they're Princeton, yeah. Probably you could consider them, they're really smart kids, but I think that they really, truly do have high basketball IQs as well. And so I think they just really allow you defensively to make a mistake, and as soon as you make a mistake, they make you pay because of their patience that they show. And so, what's interesting, they're all about the same size, height-wise, and there's a lot of movement, and so you can't take plays off. You got to be willing to stay really sound in your position when you're guarding them. If you don't jump to the ball, they can beat you with a cut. And so I think that's where they put pressure on you is because there's no other way to describe them other than they're really, really disciplined offensively. Also defensively, but really offensively, and very patient. But they cut hard, they play hard, and like I said, you can't take a play off, with this group. In terms of what I got to see yesterday with Kentucky, in terms of how hard they play, and then in just watching them on film.
Go ahead, Seth.
Mackenzie looked real good yesterday in the second half, and we've talked plenty about her injury and where she's at health-wise. In the big picture, I mean, playing the way she did yesterday, how hard did she work through the rehab process to get back to where she is now? And I mean, especially in that time between the end of the Big Ten tournament and the start of the NCAA tournament, I mean, how important was that time for her?
Well, it was important because when we got Mac back was sort of in that period of when we were playing a third of our game in 10 days and we weren't practicing. We were only prepping and traveling and so forth. And so it made it really difficult for Mac because she was sort of just thrown into games. She was thrown into the fire, and she was, having to make some mistakes, trying to get her timing back, trying to work on endurance is kind of hard when you're just trying to do it in a 40-minute game. And so for her, the practice piece of it, once we returned from Maryland was so, I think, important and critical to getting her back to, what we're seeing now. And she's not 100%, back, but she needed every ounce, every minute of all those practices. One, just to work on her endurance. When you take a month off, yes, your endurance is, suffers, but what people don't realize is everything suffers. Your timing, catching the ball, all of that, for Mac, was difficult to get back and in a short, like I said, a short amount of time. And, I think it's just a matter of her being able to get those practices in before the Big Ten tournament, getting games then back to back to back, and then having almost the 13 days off in between the two was really good for her. And that was, I thought, where, we were playing the 4-minute games, we're playing the 3-minute games. She's getting up and down the floor. She's having to work through her endurance. She's having to work through some mistakes. She's getting her timing back. And so, all of it has been good for her, but to say that, she has been exceptional, and she and Ben, and doing the work and just staying after, whether it was her rehab, whether it's been with Kevin and her strength and conditioning, nobody has, worked harder and has wanted to be back for her team more than Mackenzie. And there were some tough days, for her. And so I think all of us are really proud that, she's showed some really toughness, but just resilience throughout a really tough thing, because certainly we didn't expect this to happen for her once the season started. But I think that she'll continue to get better.
We're going to take last one, Matt.
We've asked you a bit about this in the past, but you talked about in that stretch when Mackenzie was out was a chance to kind of build the bench up and build some more depth there. And we had Chloe up here earlier, who's been one of the biggest pieces from that bench. I guess now sitting here in the NCAA tournament, how have you seen her kind of be that key bench player who's developed so much this season?
I think that one of the things that I've been so impressed with Chloe is she's not afraid of the moment, and there's been some big moments where she's had to come in and show up in a big kind of way. Obviously, this is a kid that's really talented. She came off our bench a year ago, played spot minutes for us, and then Matt goes out, and now we have to completely change how we're going to play. In terms of being able to put KB in the starting 5 spot, but then being able to go and play small ball, which we've never done here in Indiana, and really rely on Chloe to give us something night in and night out. And so I think what we've seen is great growth, with her as a basketball player. I think her confidence with every game has improved. No one has been more excited about her being a major contributor, for this basketball team than our staff and her teammates. And so, give her credit because she was a terrific high school player, won state championships. That's why we recruited her, because she's a winner. I think, again, she's going to have a really great career here at Indiana.
Thank you for your time, Coach.
Thank you, guys.